Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Leonard and welcome back to another episode of the Love Doesn't Hurt podcast, where we provide domestic violence education, empower survivors, and promote healing from the inside out. This week we are continuing a series of episodes on the podcast where I'm breaking down the Netflix miniseries Maid. In the last 2 episodes of the podcast, I broke down the first 3 episodes of Maid, so be sure to go check those out if you missed them or if you just need a refresher on what happened. Just as a trigger warning, this show does depict an abusive relationship that may be triggering if you've experienced similar abuse, so proceed with caution or feel free to pass on this episode if that is not beneficial to your emotions or your healing. Just as a reminder, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow the show on whatever podcast platform you use. With that being said, let's get into the breakdown. Episode 4 is called Cashmere and opens with Alex and Maddie in their new apartment. Alex is making Maddie pancakes for breakfast and is packing some of Maddie's things so she can stay with Sean over Thanksgiving. Alex explains to her daughter that she'll miss her over the weekend, but that Thanksgiving will be a fun time with her dad and that it's a day where we get to think about what we're thankful for. After they get ready for the morning, Alex goes to check the mail and her SNAP card had arrived. Alex then meets Nate to pick up an old car that he had sitting in his garage to borrow for a while, and he even included a new car seat for Maddie. Nate asks about their plans for Thanksgiving and opens an invitation for Alex to have dinner with his family, or even just him sometime. But she politely declines as she doesn't see her life as set up for dating, and especially doesn't want to have strings attached to being given the car. Nate still gives her the keys, but is clearly disappointed Alex won't go on a date with him. Now that she has a car and money for food again, Alex brings Maddie to the grocery store. There is a count of how much money they can spend for food on the screen, and Alex appears to be worried about ensuring that she doesn't go over the allotted SNAP budget. As someone who has worked with SNAP programs as part of my higher education, I can attest to the fact that staying within a SNAP budget and trying to create healthy meals can be incredibly difficult, especially with an active and growing toddler. It takes meticulous planning of ingredients and puts a lot of stress on the shopper, especially with the unnecessary stigma about being on government assistance. This stigma creeps into Alex's fears as she hallucinates that the grocery store employee is insulting her for using SNAP for the first time and having to ask how to use it. The stigma of being on SNAP is also portrayed in the show by the man behind Alex in the checkout line, scoffing at her SNAP card and having to put back items that she can't afford. This is extremely disrespectful behavior. And if you are on SNAP, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You are able to feed yourself and your family if you have one, and that's the most important thing. A couple tips that I have learned from my educational experiences are to shop where you can get the most amount of certain foods for your money, to pick up frozen fruits and vegetables to include more nutrients in meals because they're flash frozen and are as, if not more nutritious than the more expensive fresh produce, and check out your local farmers market to see if they are able to double your SNAP dollars when you shop there. I know the farmers market local to me does this because of a grant they've been given. The USDA also provides tips on planning, shopping, budgeting, and cooking on a SNAP budget on their website, so I'll link that in the description of this episode if that resource would be helpful for you. Alex and Maddie then go spend a little bit of time together playing outside, by a lake before Maddie has to be dropped off with Sean for Thanksgiving. Sean gets angry that Alex didn't pack Maddie a snack or put her down for a nap before dropping her off. Alex acknowledges that they're supposed to be sharing parental responsibility, so Sean can also do that, but he doesn't seem to care. This anger and insulting nature indicates Sean's emotional abuse, which we have acknowledged in previous episodes. Sean explains that he's tired from working late and traveling to accommodate Alex's schedule, which he's required by the government to do, but invites Alex to have Thanksgiving dinner with them, which she declines. Alex then goes off to work cleaning many homes where wealthy families are giving away nearly expired food and seem annoyed to acknowledge their privilege in life by donating during the holiday season. Alex gets to Regina's house later that day, where Regina has spent her day baking 7 pies from scratch, but she doesn't plan to actually eat them. Before Regina leaves for her holiday plans, Alex asks if she can come in on Thanksgiving to do some extra cleaning so she can make more money, and Regina agrees. At home, Alex makes some ramen for dinner and gets ready for bed. She starts to write Confessions of a Maid, but then gets distracted and decides to download Tinder for a hookup while she doesn't have Maddie. Writing is a really great way that we can express our thoughts and our feelings in a healthy way and can be great to maintain our mental health. After swiping through a few people, she sees Sean, and that's enough for her to go to bed after. On Thanksgiving Day, Alex calls her mom to check in and wish her a happy holiday, but it goes straight to voicemail. She then calls to talk to Maddie, but Sean hangs up the phone only after a few minutes, so she goes back on Tinder to try to find another man for later. Alex does go back to Regina's to clean as she promised, but Alex also plays house for a little bit as she goes through Regina's stuff, tries on her clothes, drinks her wine, and gets in her hot tub to relax. Alex just wanted to pretend her life was luxurious for one day, so this included lying to a guy on Tinder and inviting him over under the indication that Alex was in school for creative writing and that her parents were on vacation, so she had the whole home for herself. Once he comes over, their interactions were honestly very awkward at first, but after a while, Alex does start to tell him some truthful things about her life, like how it's her first Thanksgiving without her ex-boyfriend, and that she's writing a story about being wealthy and not having a conflict, because in Alex's words, people with money have everything. Alex then sees headlights coming into the driveway and frantically kicks her date out of the house and greets Regina as she comes in, saying she was about to leave, as she's wearing Regina's clothes. Regina doesn't seem to care much as she appears to be upset about something else and pulls out the mostly empty bottle of wine Alex was drinking earlier. Regina then sits down with one of her large pies and begins talking to Alex about how she doesn't feel that she knows her husband anymore. She's so busy working to just feel as though she's a respectable woman. She also explains that she has tried for years to have a baby, assuming that Alex got pregnant easily, which Alex confirms, but says that she struggled for everything else in her life. Regina explains that she spent $300,000 on IVF and finally has a surrogate with a baby on the way, but her husband is asking for a divorce, so she will become a parent alone. Regina also confesses to Alex that she was supposed to be her husband's, quote, do-over, as he had a wife and children before her and that he left them for a younger woman. Regina then gives Alex money for cleaning, which Alex tries to refuse given the circumstances, but Regina insists, saying that Alex shouldn't let anyone take advantage of her. In the final scenes of episode 4, Alex drives home having visions of stories that she can begin writing and brain dumps all of them onto the page once she reaches her notebook. Alex writes that being wealthy doesn't actually give you everything in life, which she learned by Regina opening up to her, and that she envisions a modest life for her and her daughter. She wants a home that's filled with love, and that's all that truly matters to her. Not the size of the house or how much it's worth. The next day, Alex goes to pick up Maddie from Sean when Sean says he expected her to come for dinner. But Alex tells him that she doesn't want Maddie getting confused where her mom lives. So they drive off in opposite directions. Episode 5 of Maid is called Thief, and opens with Maddie coughing in the middle of the night. Alex gets up to comfort her daughter and notices that there's mold covering the walls of their apartment, and it gets worse with each passing day, as does Maddie's illness. Alex tries to call her mom to get help taking care of Maddie, but once again, she doesn't answer. Alex has been calling out of work to take care of Maddie a lot, so her boss is unhappy and considers firing her because of it. Alex bites the bullet and drops Maddie off at daycare so she's able to keep her job, and on their way out, Alex complains to her building manager that the mold is keeping her daughter sick, so he finally agrees to check it out. Alex clearly feels guilty for leaving Maddie at daycare when she didn't want to be there, and this part of the show makes me feel especially empathetic towards Alex because she really is just trying to do the best thing for her daughter, but can't seem to catch a break. This is a familiar feeling when leaving an abusive relationship, and you just have to keep pushing and know that one day it will get better. It might take days, weeks, months, even a couple of years, but one day you will have the life that you deserve and that you worked for. At work, Alex finds out that she's cleaning the home of a deceased woman for the next few days, and that she was the mother of an infamous kid burglar who liked to break into homes to steal junk food. Alex notices that in this house, the mother kept many news articles about her son's trial for breaking and entering. She also notices that there are multiple master locks on both the outside of the child's room door and on all kitchen cabinets. So it's no wonder that the child ran away and lived to steal junk food from others if he grew up in this overly oppressive and abusive environment. After cleaning the house for a few hours, Alex checks her phone that was on silent and sees that she has many missed calls from Maddie's daycare. So she immediately calls them back to find out that Maddie was running a fever and Sean had authorized for Alex's dad to pick Maddie up despite Alex's wishes. Alex leaves her job site in a rush and goes to her father's house to find that he had put Maddie down for a nap and her fever had finally broken. Alex's dad and stepmom seem happy to have Maddie there and even offer to watch her the next day as well, as she can't go back to daycare for 24 hours. Alex politely yet nervously declines this offer, saying that she'll work something out with Sean. Before she leaves, however, Alex's dad mentions how she doesn't come around much, to which she indicates that she's never been invited. Alex's father says that she should know that she has an open invite and abruptly questions if Alex's mom had told her that she didn't. This is the first glimpse that we get as viewers of Alex's father's anger towards Alex's mom, as he seems to get very defensive at any indication that he's been a bad parent to Alex, especially if this was as a result of her mom's influence on her views. This quick defensive nature is extremely common in people who are abusers, as they want to deflect any indication of their abuse and often project their issues onto others. The anger isn't overt or excessive, but Alex's dad is quick to get defensive and a bit snappy, which is certainly a red flag to remember. Once Alex has taken Maddie from her father's care, the girls head to Sean's work, where Alex confronts him about not taking equal responsibility of Maddie, but Sean doesn't seem to understand why Alex doesn't want their daughter around her grandfather. Alex explains this by saying Sean doesn't know her dad, but Sean says that Alex also doesn't really know him either, since she and her mom left when she was about 5 years old. Alex continues to try to get through to Sean by explaining that she has to work and will get fired if she takes another day off. Sean says that he works all day too and will also get fired for taking time off, and that no one asked Alex to get a job. This echoes the mindset Sean has that Alex is to be controlled and shouldn't be independent and have a job, and that everything is about him. Alex then tries to see if her mom is home, but she's not there. So Alex heads home with her daughter and tries to get some fresh air while keeping Maddie warm, and ends up staying awake all night doing research about the child burglar whose home she's cleaning, and ends up having a very strange dream that she is the child burglar. The next day, the walls of Alex's apartment are so damp and filled with mold that they crumble to the touch. Alex finally takes Maddie to the doctor and finds out that both of her ears are infected again. The pediatrician explains that Maddie will never get better if they continue to live where they're living, and says, "Maddie needs you to do better." This is very frustrating to see as a viewer, as Alex makes it clear that they can't afford to live anywhere else, and that the pediatrician doesn't appear to care beyond prescribing antibiotics. She doesn't offer sympathy, support, or any resources to Alex that may improve their situation. It feels completely disrespectful to Alex to imply that she's not doing well enough as a mother after everything she's been through, and as she clearly puts her daughter first in every aspect of her life. This interaction does make Alex go stay with her dad, so Maddie can begin to heal, though. When Maddie is napping, Alex's father sits her down to tell her their stay will likely be more than the few days that Alex had planned. The whole apartment will likely need to be stripped to its bare bones to get rid of the mold. He also explains that he feels terrible for not insisting that the girls stay with him sooner, after he drove Alex to the ferry station that night. Alex accepts this apology and says that she'd normally stay with her mom, but she's MIA. At work, Alex's coworker uses the supplies that Alex bought, but with everything that she's dealing with personally, Alex just allows it to happen and avoids conflict to keep the peace in one area of her life. Avoiding conflict is very common among survivors, as in their abusive relationships, they learned to not feed the conflict, but rather avoid it in order to survive. As she's cleaning, Alex believes that she sees the child burglar outside and rushes to the woods to confirm her suspicions. She finds an abandoned campsite and returns to the house to find her coworker trying to break open an attic crawl space, which they open and discover that the kid burglar's mother used to lock him in there. Alex goes in to see what lies inside, and the door shuts, accidentally locking her inside for a moment. Alex then has a flashback to her childhood, where she was hiding in a kitchen cupboard as her parents argued. This causes Alex to have a full-on panic attack and break out of the crawl space, and then realize that she needs to go find her mother after weeks of no communication. She drives to her mother's house to find that it's up for rent by her mother's partner. Alex calls the man to see if he knew where her mother was, but he didn't answer. Alex then resorts to searching all over town, asking everyone her mother possibly interacted with if they had seen her, and no one had in weeks. On her mission to find her mother, Alex spots Danielle, her friend from the DV shelter, and is so happy to see her, and asks if she's doing okay. Danielle doesn't say much as her partner is on the phone closely behind her and says that Alex must have her confused with someone else as she walks away with him. This interaction frustrates Alex so much that she goes to the shelter to talk with Denise, the shelter manager, about seeing her clearly scared of her partner, and tries to get Danielle's phone number. Denise understands Alex's frustration as she often sees survivors return to their partners many times after leaving, but knows that they have to make the choice to leave on their own. Denise explains that Danielle might be lying to herself in order to survive, or fighting to break a generational cycle of abuse. She also suggests that Alex should come back to group therapy. The generational cycle of abuse is incredibly important to acknowledge as we try to break the cycle one survivor at a time. Children that grew up with domestic violence in their home, like myself, are hidden survivors that grow up seeing abuse and unintentionally internalizing abusive behaviors as normal. So as we get older, we have to learn what love truly looks like and to be able to identify indicators of abuse so we don't get trapped in the same cycle as our parents. This can be extremely difficult to cope with at times, but with therapy and education, we as hidden survivors can break the cycle in our own lives and ensure healthy relationships for our futures. Alex returns to her dad's house and sees that he's really sweet with Maddie, as he's gotten her a new toy and reassured her that Alex would be home soon when she was off looking for her mom. That night, Alex has another dream where she is the kid burglar, and this time that her mother was trapped in the house she had been cleaning and was calling for help. Alex then gets up in the middle of the night to get a snack, and her dad comes in. They talk about Alex's childhood and how she remembers hiding in one of the kitchen cupboards that doesn't seem to be there anymore, which Alex's dad says never really existed. He then says that he was scared of Alex's mom and regrets not stepping in to help with Alex as she was growing up, but that he wants to be a good grandfather to Maddie. The next day, Alex returns to her apartment to meet with the building manager, who explains that the whole apartment will need to be renovated, which might take months, so she has to move out. This is especially bad because there are no other units of affordable housing available, so Alex must find somewhere completely new to live. Alex calls her dad, who agrees to help her move out, and goes to work at the kid burglar's house one final day. She leaves a bag of chips out for the kid burglar at the campsite in case he comes back, and goes inside the house one last time before locking up. Alex crawls back into the attic space again in an attempt to relive the entire memory from her childhood that she saw a glimpse of before. This actually works, and Alex remembers that she was crawling into the kitchen cupboard to hide from her father as he argued and threw things at her mother, who took Alex away to protect her. Once Alex realizes this, she immediately returns to her father's house to take Maddie away from him and explains that they won't be staying there anymore because she remembers. She remembers everything from when they left and won't be told those memories weren't real. Alex's dad previously tried to say that there wasn't a cupboard there in an attempt to gaslight Alex and cover up his past actions, hoping that she wouldn't remember. He didn't want the truth of his past to get out, now that he has created a new family and a new image for himself as a passionate and attentive father and husband to his new family. It's really empowering to see Alex take a stand for herself against her dad. In the closing scene of episode 5, Alex drives to her mother's house and finds that she's finally back. Alex is so relieved to see her mom and know that she's okay, but her mom is oblivious as to why she was worried, as if she wasn't gone with no communication for a few weeks. Alex asks if she and Maddie can stay with her for a while, and her mother gladly lets them. Alex's mother is on cloud 9 and attributes this to the fact that she just got married. Alex is stunned, to say the least, and is very concerned for her mom in this relationship, as it seems her now husband tries to take advantage of her, namely by renting her house out. Alex also asks her mother why she never told her that her father hit her mom, but Alex's mom brushes this off and just wants to celebrate her new marriage. So Alex heads to the car and brings Maddie inside for the night. So that is a summary and breakdown of episodes 4 and 5 of Maid on Netflix. I hope you guys are enjoying this series and are looking forward to breaking down the rest of Maid. As always, it is my goal with the Love Doesn't Hurt podcast to create another resource people can use to understand their experiences, get help, and know they're not alone. If you need immediate help, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or text START in all capital letters to 88788. You can also visit their website, thehotline.org, for more information. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. If you would like to support the podcast, I would really appreciate you giving it a 5-star rating wherever you listen. Also, just as a reminder, the podcast is now available on YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible, so you can access it anywhere you prefer to listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for listening to the Love Doesn't Hurt podcast. I hope you all have a great day, and remember, spread love everywhere you go.